Hello?
Yo, so dude,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's just jump right in. I know we only have a little bit of time here. So, last
Mhm.
week we talked a lot about game plans, how to create a game plan, what are like objective true things to look for, why that's helpful, and answered a couple questions. So, I know we wanted to like dial it back a little bit just to give you kind of more time to like learn like just generally like how moves work, how any questions you may have, things like that,
Mhm.
and kind of like explore a little bit in the game. But I still think what we went over is like very important because regardless of what level you're playing at, you kind of want like a baseline to like grow off of, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
kind of like last week, let's just take the first little bit and we'll talk about any questions you may have, how things have been going, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, sure. Mostly been focusing on like mechanical improvements
Right.
and getting in just lots of like friendly games. There's not really any specific questions that stick out.
Sure.
Aside from one, which is just that I notice that sometimes I'll like jump in, I'll do like a nair, for instance, towards somebody, and then if it doesn't connect, they'll run forward and grab me.
Right.
Um, at the same time, I keep seeing in tournaments where like Zane or like Kadoran will like jump in, do an air, and then they'll like somehow land and back out so quick that the person can't even have enough time to grab them.
Hmm.
And I just want to make sure that I understand what's going on there, and then also like how to practice that. What's the best way to ensuring that I'm acting as soon as I can?
Sure.
And I think I have an idea of how to do that, but maybe if you want to just explain like kind of what's going on there, how they're getting away so quickly, and then also like how in the lab I would practice to make sure that I'm doing that as well.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So there's like two main things. One thing is okay. Well, I guess we'll start with this.
Mhm.
So Nair has a property called auto cancel. Do you know what auto canceling is?
Yeah, I'm like vaguely familiar, but if you could explain it, that would
Yeah,
probably clarify.
that's no worries. So yeah, I will. I'm gonna share my screen. I'll show you. It'll probably be a little easier. And actually,
Mhm.
sorry, my controller's just in my bag. I went to a local last night. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab that really quick.
Oh, yeah, of course.
2 seconds.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry about that. I just had to go grab my bag.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me jump in Uncle Punch here. Probably be the easiest way to show you. Um, and I'll just do it in training lab. But first, I'm gonna make sure, yeah, are not out of shield. I think that's all we need for this. Act as soon as possible. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna jump on Uncle Punch, and if this is the right code, then we're good.
Huh?
Okay. So yeah, that's not gonna work. But there's one other thing I can do. So let me just ask you to describe the situation one more time. You said you're doing a nair, you're jumping in, doing an air towards them, and they're running through you and hitting you.
Uh, no, just like the classic kind of I jump in, I do a nair, they see me coming, or yeah, I was too far away in the first place, so they sort of just back up, they like dash back in, and then grab me.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
if that makes sense, like I'm doing my nair, and then because I miss, they're able to then run in and grab me before I'm able to act. And then I keep seeing pros get away with doing a nair like right in front of Mango or someone, and they can still like run back and get away before
Hmm.
their opponent is able to punish them.
Okay. So yeah, let me. I'm just trying to get these two codes here. These are gecko codes. I don't know if you can see my screen still, but
Yeah, I can see, and I'm
okay.
a little familiar with gecko codes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically these are gecko codes. 20XX, if you've ever used that, has these codes as well,
Mhm.
but you can actually import them into Melee. So that's what I'm gonna be doing right here. I'm just gonna be putting gecko codes um, in the actual like files here. You literally just copy paste them at the bottom.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I did that for the red flash on like failed L cancel.
Yeah,
it's really helpful.
Exactly. So you can add them all the same. You just gotta save the notepad. So when I refresh this here, yeah, now I have turn green when actionable. So that's what we're gonna use. So ran out of memory applying gecko codes. Codes were not applied. Tried disabling some. Okay, my bad. I've never seen that before. But yeah, anyway, so basically what I want to, I'm just gonna turn off these. We don't need these for anything now. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. I'll do it in regular melee. Sorry for taking so long.
No, it's okay. And I think I might actually have the, for me, the act out of lag option on Uncle Punch.
Yeah.
It seems like it does show sometimes when I jump into Nair and then I run back at like as soon as I land, it says act out of auto cancel frame 1. So I think, is that maybe what I'm looking for?
Potentially,
as far
yeah.
as making sure that I'm, that would ensure that I am like acting as soon as I can, right? That's what that means.
Okay, here. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how the Uncle Punch code works. I just haven't used it myself, but this is the code I recommend any beginner use. It's the turn green when actionable. So regardless of what state you're in, like even just this turnaround animation, like I can't input anything really while I'm doing this turnaround. Like I have to wait for the turnaround animation to end kind of thing.
I see.
But anytime my character's green, I'm able to act. So like similar to a dash dance, like of course you can do anything, but like the second I'm like waiting, it's basically there's a state in the game called wait, and that's when you turn green. So what you're describing with Zane can be it can be a couple things, but I want you to turn on this code when you're trying to figure these situations out, because it gives you direct answers of like, okay, am I being too slow on even getting out in the first place?
Right.
So that's one thing. But yeah, basically what you're describing is a nair, and then they're able to get away so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you familiar with like high aerials and low aerials?
Maybe like saving, like doing your aerial last minute versus doing it like at the peak.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. So like you can do a nair and act instantly, and that will auto cancel. So that means you're able to act sooner. But let's say you jump and then do a nair, right? That one it doesn't let you auto cancel. Marth will still be performing the nair when he lands, so the animation isn't done. But in the air, if you do it really quick, the animation for a nair technically ends, so he just gets his normal landing lag. But when you do a nair low, it's like a normal like aerial landing lag, if that makes sense. So basically, you're able to act a little sooner when you do a high nair, but the problem is the move is out and you're in the air for longer.
Right.
If you do the low nair, you can fast fall it, but you would have to L cancel and do that way. Technically, this nair is faster. This one where you can get the move out quicker and you have less lag when you land, but you are technically in the air for a little bit longer than if you were to do it like an L cancel nair. So there's basically kind of like similar to like forward air. Like you could do a rising forward air, which lets you get another one out in time. But if you do a late one, then you have a giant sword hitbox in front of you, right? So it's kind of the same concept as that. It's like it's the same move, but there's different ways to use it. And with Mars also, there's like different hitboxes in that. But with Nair, you pretty much only ever want the one hitbox, the strong hit. So
in terms of practicing it though, to make sure that I'm acting as quickly as possible, I just want to make sure that I'm basically green for the smallest amount of time.
Yeah, you want it so that there's no green pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like if you can do it, there should be no green. But that's just to let you know if you're slow on anything. It's in terms of like whether or not one is faster than the other, it's situation dependent, right? Generally, if you're trying to stuff someone out with Nair, like let's say someone's coming in on you and you use your Nair to beat them, you'd want to do it as soon as possible, right? Get the auto cancel one. But if you're not sure and maybe you want to get a low Nair, like say you want to be crouch cancel or something, you'd want to do that Nair a little later, but you might have to L cancel it then, right? So yeah, it's a little bit different than how you use it, so that's why they're able to act differently in different situations. But generally speaking, if what they're trying to do is like Nair and then dash away as soon as possible, you'd probably want to start doing a lower Nair, but you would have to L cancel that one. So yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, building off of what we talked about last week, we talked about game plans for Sheik and Luigi a little bit. Um, I know we said we wanted to dial it back a little bit because you wanted like more time to learn characters' moves. So I kind of want to take this time just to ask you now, like how have you been finding that out? I know you said you've been playing a little bit. Um, what have you been struggling
Yeah.
with lately? Is it something you'd want to go over in terms of like do you want to play games today? Do you want to talk about some matchups? How would you like to take things?
My gut tells me that probably the best way to take this would be to maybe play a few games and for you to just point out anything that sticks out as far as like just really egregious mistakes that I'm making.
Okay.
And I only say that because like there's just so many like really fundamental things that I know I need to be doing. I've got pretty good friends or friends that are pretty good at melee that tell me sort of things and like certain habits that I should be doing. And so actually implementing them is just taking me, like it's just a lot of repetitions to get it to consistently happen. So
Yeah.
I don't know that like knowing good, say, strategies for a certain character, I can necessarily make the use of immediately. Whereas if there's like just particularly bad habits that you notice that I'm consistently doing in a game, maybe that would be more beneficial.
Sure. Oh, I was like, why is my thing not working? I just have to pick a character. Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, we can talk about bad habits. I think in general, like chances are a lot of the bad habits we talked about from last week, I'd be very surprised if you've beaten those out already. So my gut is telling me just for now, just to give like a little bit of kind of like a warning almost, that those habits are going to be the same. But we could maybe take this session and talk about ways to like overcome them if you'd like.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A lot of the bad habits are still there. They're definitely less prevalent, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll
yeah, I
definitely point
understand.
out some bad habits or like some flaw in game plan or anything like that. I think generally probably though, just because like I said, you're very new to the game. What we talked about last week, where you kind of want to like sit down and take some time to like learn some theory in terms of like what our characters looking for, things like that. So would you prefer like I know last time we did Mark Dittos and we could play Mark Dittos again, but like would you prefer to play like Fox or like my Falco or Falcon or something like that?
Yeah, I really don't have a specific preference because I kind of just end up playing a lot of everyone. There's no one in particular.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. You were mentioning last week that maybe like understanding the Luigi matchup has a lot of carryovers into other matchups. So
Yeah, I think so.
if you think like just playing against a Luigi would be beneficial.
Um, well, like I guess it depends on what your goals are, right? Like, so like, are you just looking to find bad habits, or are you just looking to find like ways to improve in general, or like, I think that's the problem, right? Like when you come into a coaching
Yeah.
session, we need to have like structured goals.
Right.
So like we
Yeah,
could
I
even talk
understand. And
about.
then,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say like I understand having structured goals is super helpful. It's definitely the best way to get the most out of coaching. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, like I feel like I'm so bad that I don't know what the best goals are. So it's hard for me to sort of like
Okay.
point out we should work on this because I don't know that that's necessarily the best like bang for my buck in terms of what I should be practicing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
It's just tough, yeah.
sure. Let's talk about your goals that we talked about before, right? And see how we can kind of like make those happen a little bit quicker. So we talked about bad habits, and we talked about how to beat that. We talked about how to practice mechanics. So you kind of like know how to do it, but maybe you're not doing it properly,
Right.
or like at least like structured. And then we talked about how to practice against people who are much better than you, which I think we already said, right? Like taking notes is important. Focusing on one thing at a time. Like you're not gonna just become better overnight, kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, we'll talk about some bad habits. Why don't we talked about a little bit in the Marth Ditto like game plans slightly, like you kind of want to stay grounded, that you don't want to be above your opponent, you want to abuse crouch cancel, you want to get a grab, how to edge
Yep.
guard. So why don't we'll play a couple games this week. We'll talk about the Marth Ditto, and then maybe next week, just as like unless you have like something really urgent you want to talk about, we'll talk about the Marth Ditto this week, and then maybe or if you want, like I know you said you have a friend who plays Falco that's really scary for you.
Yeah, he's so much better than me though that it's almost like futile. I feel like to like learn that matchup because I don't end up playing him that often because it's just you know it's so one-sided. So there's really no specific character.
Okay, well you know what? Let's do that anyway though. I think would probably be better.
Okay, sure.
Because if your friend plays Falco and you feel like very lost against him, we can give you like structured like paths to not be so lost, right? And then let's say you play him after this session, you'll come back with more questions based on things we talked about for next time even, you know? And we can build on that. Because like I said, like the way you get better in Melee isn't you learn a bunch of things and you get really good and that's it. Like you're kind of building off one thing at a time, and you can do it so that maybe you build off one thing, but then you get distracted and come back to another thing. But the great thing is like you keep learning and getting better at all these different things, and then all of a sudden you're just better. But it's not like, how am I trying to word this? Like you can't just hammer out like tech skill over and over and be good. Like you kind of have to build on something at least a couple times. So we'll play Marth Falco so that you can get an idea of like what. First we'll play 3 games, or let's play 2, just because I don't want to waste all your time just by playing. We'll play 2 games. I will be specifically looking at habits that I'm trying to beat with Falco, and then we'll take the rest of the session talking about ways you can practice to beat those things, and then you'll kind of focus on that when you play with your friend, and we'll come back and build upon it. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Sounds good.
Cool. Let's do it.
Versus Mark. Ready? Go!
This is the right idea though. Just a little bit too early on the quarter. Okay.
Yeah, maybe you were slightly too far there to go out for it. I should have just held back and.
Yeah, you can start drifting back and still do that same forward air, you know?
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, right idea to go out still.
Okay, gotcha. Am I grabbing too late there? Is that why you're spot dodging and I'm missing all my grabs on you?
You shouldn't be able to grab Falco on his shield. It's a very, it's not really like a thing you want to be actively fishing for. Like shield grab against Falco, just because I can do like nair down air into shine, nair shine, shine grab.
I should be buffering with the C stack and just backing out, right?
You can buffer with the C stick to roll. Technically, that'll give you the soonest roll. But with Falco, it's a lot more complicated than just like picking one option once you see that they're hitting their shield, because Falco has so many options to kind of like, I don't have to do nair into an aerial or like nair into grab or nair, like just a down air into like read your roll and down air that one, you know? So you kind of have to like pick an option based on what you think I'm going to do, whether it be roll, wave dash, grab, or whatever.
That makes sense. Sorry, my question though is whenever I knock you down, right, and you're standing up, I try to grab you when you stand up, but you spot dodge in place.
Yeah, that's just
to like
I'm too
avoid
early.
my grab.
Yep.
So I'm grabbing too late, or you're just safe if you spot dodge at the right time.
No, you're grabbing too late in that case.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, no problem.
I should be DIing away there. Is that?
Yeah. Close. No.
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about some habits. Cause
And just preemptively, I do wonder, like, should I maybe try to have a friend around my rating to play against so that you can kind of see how like the game plays out in an actual, you know, like against like people of my equal skill? Is there any benefit in that at all, or is it just best to play against someone that's far better? And
no,
that's...
definitely you should play people of all skill levels, I think.
Yeah, I just mean like while you're watching though, like to if you're gonna watch me play and coach, would it make sense to have someone of equal skill that I'm playing against? Because I don't feel like I'm exactly playing the way that I play against someone of closer skill. Like I'm trying to kind of speed things up to match you, and I end up like missing a lot of inputs. Things are a little bit different, I guess. But
Yeah, I would say my opinion is that you should always be doing VOD analysis for any time you lose, or win. Sometimes I think there's definitely value in winning, doing VOD analysis, but it's kind of more obvious from when you're losing, right? As far as like whether or not, like how much better they are, if it's like good or not, I think generally if you get completely washed, it makes sense. You can maybe take like one or two like big notes from it, but it is usually better to do an analysis for someone who's closer to your skill level, because I think it's more like any change you make is more tangible to like get a win out of it, you know?
Yeah, so maybe for future lessons, I could try to find a friend, at least for like maybe half of the lesson or something, just to have someone to play against that you could kind of see.
Yeah, I mean, an alternative is even like if you wanted to do that now, we could talk about after we talk about the habits. Like when you play on Slippy, I don't know if you knew this, but like when you play on Slippy, in your documents folder on your computer, there's actually a Slippy folder. So you have like every game that you've ever played saved already.
Oh, right. Yeah, we could just watch a replay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so you could just send me like literally the Slippy file, and I can just put it up, and we can do that, you know?
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, anyway, let's talk about Falco, right? So like I said, kind of in one of our last sessions, Falco is kind of a weird character, similar to Fox, because they're just very hard to play against, right? Like they have way too many options at all these different points, and also very different ways they can use their moves, and very different mix-ups that they can use. So a lot of Falcos you'll find at a lower level play very similarly, but once you get a lot better, you'll notice that almost every Falco like plays very different in terms of like how they deal with pressure, or how they deal with disadvantage, or anything like that, right? But there are some things that are objectively good against Falco. One thing for sure, I do want to give you credit and not sound hypercritical. So I will say for sure, I absolutely did notice you've been working on the not jumping habit, which I think is great.
Yeah.
However, that habit still is there. So one thing that's objectively true, when you're off stage against Falco, if they're a good Falco, they're going to be trying to stuff that jump out as soon as they can with lasers, especially when you're far away. There's no risk for them shooting a laser to kind of like get your jump, right?
Right.
So you usually, when you're recovering, you want to avoid... I'm just going to give you like certain tips here. So you want to avoid recovering high against Falco, Or I guess there probably isn't much point in me writing this down unless you think you want me to, but you'll also have the VOD to like kind of rewatch.
Yeah, I'll have
this.
the VOD, and I'm also writing things down as well. So
Okay, cool.
if anything, like,
So yeah.
you know, let's go.
So yeah, avoid recovering high against Falco. You almost want to always recover low. Marth has different mix-ups for how he likes to recover. Like you can use side B, you can use your double jump, you can drift with your up B to kind of like mix up where it is you're gonna land. There's a really good video by Pew Pew on how to recover. I'll find that for you really quick. But yeah, basically how you recover is very important, and especially with Falco, where unlike Fox, Falco doesn't really have like super strong kill confirms off of like a grab or a straight aerial here and there. He kind of has to make like a tech chase almost, or like read an option to get a kill, where with Fox, like if he gets a move, that's just kind of it. You should be dead. How to recover. Yeah, Marth recovery tutorial. This one's really great for just kind of learning about different up B lengths and places where you can grab the ledge from. That'll come in play, and you can practice that actually in Uncle Punch. But yeah, so I'm just going to give you this note. Avoid recovering high against Falco. And then here's that. I'll post that later. You can edit the notes to how you like. But one thing I would suggest is when you're in Uncle Punch practicing this, there's a really great event mode to practice how to recover against Falco. Most people call it the Omsatech one. I don't know why this isn't loading. Sorry, give me a second. There's a really great event. I think it's just to practice like wall teching. But basically all it is, where is it? Ledge tech training? Where you're specifically avoiding Falco's down smash, right? So like now, you can practice straight up just avoiding the down smash by landing outside of it, you know? So really good for that. It's kind of a gimmick, but it is definitely possible, right?
Yeah.
That's just for down smash only, but I think it's a really good event just to consistently practice ways to manage like the drift on Marth's up B and like the different heights and lengths you can grab the ledge from it. So yeah, tip number 1 against Falco for sure, you want to stop recovering high, always try and go low. If you try and double jump or land above Falco, he's just going to laser you and hit you with back air. So you almost never want to be like coming in Falco from above, right?
That makes sense.
That's a general rule. Another thing you can improve on, not so much a bad habit, just something that's like very lacking for when you do get the opportunity. You want to punish Falco hard when you get a grab. So doing things like forward throw or down throw, while like it does make sense at a high level, I think generally speaking, you want to be able to chain grab Falco and juggle him very hard with like up throw into a regrab or an up tilt or an up air or an F smash, right?
Right.
So I think we talked about it a little bit before. I don't think I specifically linked it to you. I know it's just in the VOD, but I'm going to link it to you this time. It's the Marth chain grab.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't watch it. I did practice chain grabs for a little bit. I watched one of them. I didn't watch both of them.
Okay.
But yeah, it's getting the muscle memory down of just throwing up and going for it, because I end up grabbing and then it's like I'm so shocked that I got to grab.
Yeah.
I didn't see it that I'm just like, oh shit, and I just like hit a random button. I'm like, do damage.
Yep. So yeah, you definitely got to do that. So I'm just gonna put 3 guides here, 3 ones that I watch that are video, which I think personally I prefer watching video, but there are written guides that exist on Melee Library. We've talked about Melee Library before, right?
Is that?
It's a website.
There was a website you had sent. No, I don't think I've seen Melee Library.
Okay.
There was a.
Sure. I will link you that for the written guide as well.
Or you sent me Blippi, and I think probably that has a reference to it, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Marth chain grab. So you got to do this against Spaceys. There's no reason ever not to do it. It's a must, right? And this is something you can easily solo practice.
Yep.
So yeah, let me double check if it's on Blippi, because I think Blippi's great, but it's not really the best for like learning necessarily. It's just kind of got some quick links to stuff. So yeah, here, Melee Library. It's a website. So like it has not only a bunch of different like texts and different techniques, guides, stuff like that. A lot of it's a little outdated, but a lot of stuff that's in it, because the game's 20 years old, is still good today, right? So when you go to Marth, there's so many Marth guides, right? Like so many, and these are, I know some of these are blue and purple, but I've literally read all of them. This is just on my new Firefox that I'm using. I've switched to Firefox a little while ago, but like you can see, I'm in here all the time. And I know for sure there is in here, yeah, right here, Marth chain grab guide. I'm pretty sure this is the video, but there is in here for sure written flowchart. So here's the one I was looking for. I don't know how accurate this one is because I know there's some chain grab guides out there that exist, but it's just in general you can use any of them. It's just some like very niche specific percents. Some of them are a little wrong, but like the 0 to whatever regrab and do the pivot regrab, like that's for sure a thing. I personally start doing the pivot regrab at 15, so this one's definitely wrong, like not 25. But you can see and kind of like read between the lines here a little bit that like 0 to 25-ish on Falco or 0 to 30, like you want to start just regrabbing, and then once you get past that percent, it's either regrab if they're far away or just up tilt or up air or whatever, right? So yeah, definitely watch these videos, read those guides. You 1000% have to be familiar with it, and you have to be confident in doing it every time. So that's something you can just kind of like solo practice on your own.
And that's just for Spacies and like Falcon.
Yeah, the chain grab with Falcon is a lot more complicated than it is with Fox and Falco. And the only reason I say that, I guess technically speaking, it's not that much more complicated. It's just more so it's very, very different. And most Marths you'll find will opt to not even really go for chain grabs against Falcon. You'll see when you watch like Zane and Kondoran nowadays, they'll just opt for tech chasing him instead. And it's pretty much a more consistent way to punish him. Though the chain grab is guaranteed, there's just so much variation of ways Falcon can get out of it. Even though Marth can cover technically everything, a chain grab just kind of makes it easier. You basically are taking a 1 in 3 all the time versus like a 1 in like 5 with the chain grab, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes sense.
But with Fox and Falco, the chain grab is different slightly. But like I said, like when we were looking at that guide earlier a second ago, like these are very specific percents, but you can kind of like generalize this. Like, okay, 0 to 30 on Falco specifically, this is not as good, right? But if I were to look at the Fox one, 0 to 46, right? So like you can kind of like read it like, okay, these ranges clearly like these moves still work. I'm just gonna do it for both, kind of thing, you know? So yeah, I would definitely, if you'd like, I could write you out a chain grab also, just like a simple one. But I would definitely recommend, regardless, getting familiar with them.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, because yeah, there's even videos like here, this one here. There are ways the characters can both get out of it. So you kind of want to like learn to stop that as much as you can. So yeah, that's one thing. We talked about double jumping. We talked about hitting the chain grab. That's a must. Another thing is how you're choosing to approach me or how you're not choosing at the same time. I think when it comes to neutral, one thing you have to understand about Falco, if you read or watch any Falco guides, is that Marth doesn't really get to control the pace of the game like other matches, right? One strength about Marth is that he has, objectively speaking, maybe Fox, but I think at a lower level especially, it's for sure Marth. Marth has the most like natural advantage, like strongest natural advantage state in the game. Meaning like when Marth is like standing at a certain range in front of you, he can theoretically cover everything you do. And it's just a matter of like, did you outplay the Marth and like get around it basically. But there's always a potential for Marth to hit you, right? Falco is the exception to that rule. Falco has laser, which means that at any percent, Falco can consistently be running away from you. He could be approaching you. He could stand still and just shoot the gun over and over. And because there's so many different laser heights for like so much variation for like how Falco can hit you, it's almost like impossible to kind of like deal with a laser on its own, right? I'm trying to find a picture of it here. But it's somewhere in here. I don't know where it is, but basically in this old Marth Discord, this Marth Research and Development, there is a picture that shows every laser height Falco can do, and you'll see that it's like almost the entirety of like how tall Marth is. Like it's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, basically that's what I'm trying to get at, is that like Falco is the exception to the rule that Marth controls the game. In Marth versus Falco, Falco controls it, and you have to play around Laser, and you have to play around how he deals with his shield. So one thing that's like very important is like you have to be very aware of like how I'm not gonna get you the picture for now. It's in Melee Library for sure if you really are curious about it. But it's just to give you an idea of like how much variance there is to Laser. But basically, like, yeah, you have to be very aware of like how Falco is using Laser, if he's using it a lot and if he's not. If you can condition Falco to not use Laser, then he kind of just becomes a lot worse. He's like a much worse Fox, right? He's not as fast. His moves are a little bit worse, even though they have a little bit of range. But for Marth, they're a lot less scary. So when we were playing, I was just specifically standing there and just like shooting a couple lasers and running at you over and over. And the way you're choosing to deal with that is like shielding them. And then that gives me a free opportunity to just start hitting your shield. And we talked a little bit about it while we're playing, but like you can't really like grab Falco's shield, or like Falco when he's hitting your shield, or like you can't really like, it's basically just a situation where you can get out of it and you can punish him for if he's bad on it, but the advantage is so much in his favor. You're basically getting lucky if Falco's hitting your shield, right? And you punish him for it. It's not really like a thing you want to be going for. So I would definitely recommend, in order to counteract this, my go-to answer for how to beat Falco and like annoy him is learning how to power shield. Learning power shield for lasers. Have you practiced that ever?
Yeah, I've spent a couple days, just like maybe 30 minutes a day, just kind of messing around with it. And yeah, very inconsistent at it.
Okay. Do you know, have you ever heard of like the tricks to getting consistent power shield with Marth?
No.
Okay, so no, this is awesome. So this is like a really like, it's low-key cheating because it's actually a bug in the game. But Falco does have technically, like I know I saw it when I was looking here. There is slight counterplay. Where is it? I just saw it here. There is slight counterplay to how Falco can deal with Marth power shield, because I don't know if you knew this, but there is actually technically different shields in the game for like light shield and hard shield. But then there's also like transition periods between light shield and hard shield, and that's kind of where that gets complicated. But this is like something you almost never really see in a real game. So basically what you need to know, and you can kind of see it in this picture a little bit, is that Marth has a bugged shield in Melee. Meaning when most characters shield, right, you can see here, their shields kind of like spawn right like on top of them. Like where their model is, and it covers the majority of their model, right? Obviously you can see their legs poking out here a little bit. And that's the case for any state and what they're doing. So like let's say these guys are just standing still, the shield comes from where they are, right? Marth has an exception to that. When Marth is crouching in Melee, I might be able to show it off if I get it quick enough in regular Melee. When Marth is crouching in Melee, his shield actually spawns above him as if he were standing. Unlike other characters where they spawn like directly just on the character at all times, right? So I'm gonna see if I can get it here really quick just to show it off. Yeah, okay, perfect. So do you see how his shield's not covering him at all here?
Yep.
So when I play Melee, I have one of my triggers just normal, but then I have the spring taken out of the other one. Or technically what it is I have a trigger plug. But it makes it so that when I press my R button, I only get hard shield. I don't have light shield on that one. I have light shield and hard shield on my other trigger. So my other trigger's normal, but this one's like digital only. So digital only is good because it basically just makes it so that power shield is much more consistent. So it's personal preference if you want to switch how your triggers work. Some people find it's really good and it makes it a lot easier. Some people don't like it and they prefer having the option to light shield on if they only press shield with one button. Personally, I use both, so I like having the digital only as it gives me that option. And I I won't get super into that. I'll let you do your own research on that versus like the advantage of trigger plugs or no. You could talk to a controller modder if you're that interested. But basically, yeah, Marth has a bugged shield. So in my opinion, having a digital only trigger is very good. What that means is that when Marth is crouching, his shield is above him. So when you try and shield a laser that's going above your head, if the laser interacts with the shield at all, it'll go right back to Falco because it's not going to hit Marth, right? The other exception to that, so crouch, basically what that means is like crouching to power shield lasers makes it much more consistent with Marth. It's like very, very easy. The laser could be like, I know my mouse isn't really showing here too well, but the laser could be like all the way behind Marth, but still touching his shield a little bit, and it'll still go back to him, right? So it's very good for that. The other thing where Marth has a bug shield in melee, is when, this is going to be a little hard for me to get, but when he's dashing back. Do you see how that's similar to that? With other characters, the shield would be right on top of them. But because Marth leans so forward when he dashes, when you dash backwards, you have all this big range of shield right behind you. So it makes power shielding lasers very, very easy to do. So yeah, basically those are like the two like easy states that you can set up at any time while you're playing. Either crouching. My personal preference is the dash back one because it kind of puts more space between you and Falco. And it kind of annoys him a little more to start using aerials because, oh, my lasers aren't working. But yeah.
Why does having only a hard shield make power shielding easier?
So that's a little bit of a complicated question. Only because I don't want to like give you a bunch of wrong answers right now. But and because like it is really, really weird. But basically there is, so you understanding what light shield is, right? I know you're very new, so I don't want to like overwhelm you.
My understanding is it's just like a bigger shield that wears out faster.
Yeah. It also incurs more hit stun. So like if someone hits your but it has less strength. So like when someone hits your shield when you're light shielding, you'll slide away further, but you're locked in your shield for longer. So yeah, it's a little complicated, but basically why having a power shield only one is better is if you were to play like regular GameCube controller, you just plug your controller and whatever, right? The way triggers work is the light shield is from anywhere on your trigger all the way down to that little click at the bottom. That little click is digital only. So that's like the shields that are in like Brawl, Smash 4, Ultimate. It's just shield, right? But Melee has light shield. And why it's a little complicated is because there's a period in the game when you're putting the trigger down and going for that click where the game has to transition between like this shield property of light shield and all its different properties and the properties of the hard shield, right? And basically like the way the game registers like projectiles and just normal moves and how they hit with your shield, it has different properties for light shield and hard shield. And for power shielding projectiles, I don't even think you can power shield projectiles with a light shield. In fact, I think you have to actually go from light shield to hard shield, and people think that's light shield power shielding it. But in general, I know this as a thing that people say all the time, is that when it comes to power shielding projectiles, the hard shield is just more consistent with it. And the power shield hitbox, which is its own thing, you saw that little white ring a second ago here.
Yeah.
That white ring is the actual like power shield part of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's very, very complicated, and you have to know a lot about shield mechanics. And truthfully, there's different transition periods between like if you were to do light shield with your triggers or light shield with the Z button, and then figure out a way to go to like R. Like there's way too much like overwhelm.
I don't know the details. I just didn't know that you had to hard shield to power shield. You can't do a light shield to power shield. Okay.
Exactly. So like basically, I prefer. Some people, where it gets messed up, right, is power shield is only 2 frames to do it. Or I think with a projectile, you might have 4, actually. I'm not exactly sure. But basically, where it gets a little tricky and why I prefer the digital only one is that, when I say digital only, I'm referring to hard shield because it's the digital input of whether or not I'm clicking it or not, where analog is like, there's so much variance to it with the light shield. But anyway, So when it comes to a hard shield, it's instant, right? And that's when you get. But sometimes people mess up and they're a little slow on it or something. So when they're going from light shield to hard shield, there's technically a couple frames of like when it's transitioning where like you can't power shield anything. So not only if they're slow, they could hit like the light shield, but sometimes they could get that transition period. So I just prefer it where like if I know I'm trying to press R and I know I'm trying to get power shield and I want to power shield, I'm just going to press the button. It's going to work, you know?
Gotcha.
Anybody can do this. You don't need to mod your controller. I can teach you about that if you're interested in that. But yeah, we are getting a little off topic. Basically, what I want you to know is that to power shield more consistently, Marth has special tricks with it. And you can crouch to put the shield over your head, so you'll power shield that way more consistently. And you can dash backwards and put your shield up. And then that little bubble of shielding will let you do it. So yeah, main things you need to be practicing, right? So here's a trick for dealing with lasers. Here's a trick for like getting more consistent punishes. Here's a trick for how to recover consistently, right? These are like, I would say, your worst habits for Falco specifically. Of course, I think still you would need to be working on your habits we talked about from our first session together, like the double jumping, like mashing kind of thing, stuff like that. But I think generally speaking, even still, you can work on those while working on these. But yeah, whether or not you want to focus on one or the other, I think these are like things you need to be doing against Falco. There's no matter what level of play, you always need to do these, right?
Gotcha.
So this you can practice an Uncle Punch. Of course, there's quite literally just in the game. Am I on Uncle Punch? I think no, I'm not. Quite literally just an Uncle Punch.
Yeah,
There's
I've
the power
sat in
shield
the
practice.
Uncle Punch event and just tried, and it's like I power shield maybe like 1 out of like 30, and that's while crouching.
Yeah.
Like I'm just holding crouch and just trying over and over, and yeah, it seems very difficult for me.
Okay, let me give you some tips on it. Or would you want to talk about tips on it right now, or do you want me to just send you a video for that?
If there's a video that covers it, that would be fine.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll send you a video on that. I'll send it to you after the session.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, for sure, learning power shield laser. Crouch. That's nice. So crouch. Crouch. Dash back. It's up to you to decide which one you prefer, but personally I prefer the dash back because at least you're putting a little bit of space between you, so if you mess it up you at least moved away so he can't punish you as hard. Whereas crouch, like sometimes you mess it up, now you're crouching and stuck in shield and they're going to start hitting you, right? So I personally, if I would recommend for you how to practice power shielding, try the dash back method.
Okay.
Yeah, the chain grab, extremely important. What I was noticing is that you're forward throwing and down throwing a lot. I think you need to get in the habit of only up throwing against Fox and Falco. I think I've said this like a little bit in the session today before. Some people at higher levels you'll notice, like Kadorn and Zane, mostly Kadorn though, especially at low percent when they're underneath the platform, you'll see Kadorn like down throw a spacey and like try and grab them with that with the tech chase, because the spaceys know like specific counterplay to platforms now, and that's its own thing. But at the level you're at, that's not a problem, and you need to be in the habit regardless of just doing up throw. So these things for sure. I hate giving out homework in Metafy sessions, but it's just a thing where you're learning it, right? And you're very new.
Yeah.
You need to have this. Yeah. Okay. Great. This is like, and like for what it's worth, this is fun to learn, in my opinion. I love learning the Marth chain grab because it's like it's fun to hit it. It's all punish, right? That's like where the game is fun. And like there's old Mewtwo videos on this, just like literally like hour-long compilations of just like Mewtwo chain grabbing space animals, or like people making combo videos. It's almost all a variation of the chain grab, right? So this is like a for sure you have to learn it. You can keep it very basic. Like once you get to a high percent where the chain grab stops working, just nair and then start an edge guard from there. We can talk about the chain grab more in depth, but I definitely want you to take a little bit of time to just like get in the habit of starting to do it. And if you find you're messing it up or people are getting out of it, we can talk about it from there, because there is technically counterplay. But the chain grab on Fox and Falco is like Marth's punish game in a nutshell on Fox and Falco, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to overwhelm you. I think these are like important things to talk about. If you have a quick game from you versus your friend, we could talk about like where spots you can implement this that might make it a little easier within that for the next 10 minutes. But basically, yeah, I really want you to focus on these against Falco. These aren't necessarily a game plan like we talked about before, but these are essential tools that you just need to implement before, I think, regardless of what your game plan is against them, you need to be doing these always.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to pull up a replay, but I haven't played a Fox or rather a Falco in a very long time.
Okay. There might be a way you can search for it easily on Slippy. I know there's another app that exists called Clippy that lets you just like go through those, but I've never used it personally, so I couldn't be able to tell you like, does this work or not, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. I don't know why. Just random coincidence. I've not played against a Falco in a long time.
That's okay. What you could do also is a way I like to find games very quickly. If you like message your friend, you're like, hey, do you want to play? And you said yes on Discord. You can see like the date and time that you guys played, and you can literally just go in your documents folder, go to the Slippy thing, and then just like go by date and time. When did I play this guy? And then pull one up from there.
Yeah. The problem is, I just found the first one. It was over 2 weeks ago, so it was actually before our first lesson.
Okay.
It was the last time that I played against the Falco, unfortunately. So
okay.
I probably don't have any good examples, but I'm checking if I have any other questions that I've written down.
Sure. Oh, just questions?
Or just general things to bring up here while we have a few more minutes left.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'd be happy to talk about, answer some questions. We could talk about this more too if you want.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd probably just be like playing a random, just like a random replay from recently. And just, it wouldn't be the Falco matchup, but maybe if there was anything specifically that you could point out. And
sure, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, that's no problem.
Cool. Yeah, let me grab, let's see.
I think while you're doing the chain grab, just as a note, that 20xx code, which I'll paste here because I do have it in here. I'll send it to you as like a notepad file or something, but that would still be good to like have, I think. Here. And you saw how I did it in Melee and how I added it in, so you can just watch the video as like reference for getting it in yourself. But I think this code is like very, very important for practicing the chain grab as well. Just to know that you're not slow on it or they can't escape or anything like that. I recommend when practicing always having this green code on. As far as like the yellow code, I don't think it's really as important, but the green one especially is like very, very good. It's extremely helpful.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
I'll let it in. Okay, I just sent you the Slippy file.
Okay.
It should be in Discord. Oh, wait. Oh, that's my controller hitting my hardwood floor.
Oh, shoot.
Oops.
Okay.
I'll just... Now I have to wonder if every missed input that I ever do from this point forward is because of that one time I dropped the controller.
That's funny.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think people over-exaggerate a lot about the job controllers, but it for sure makes sense. What you're saying. Okay, so yeah,
we talked about sheik quite a lot last week. So I have a friend that plays sheik, and we probably played 2 or 3 hours of friendlies over the last week.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't update these Luigi notes for you. I'm so sorry about that. I will update those as soon as this lesson's done. But
it's not a big deal. I haven't played Luigi very much, so
okay. But yeah, either way, I think it's just a good thing to have. You can refer to. But let's talk about this, right? The sheik thing for sure.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just gonna put this here so we have it here on the side. Okay. So. Okay, this should work. Yeah. So, sheik, right? Can't contest you vertically in the air. This is what you're looking for. So you can juggle sheik in the air with up air and up tilt. You could stay underneath her. You can start edge guarding her, and yeah, basically like your main goal is to get sheik in the air above you, and do that. What you're looking to avoid is sheik grab, because then you die basically. That's like pretty much it. But otherwise, it's your spacing that kind of dictates like how far away you're avoiding grab. So that's the main things we're going to be looking for, because like I said, we want to build off these game plans.
Yep.
So, Yeah, I know this is going to be very, very quick, of course, but main thing we're looking for,
Yeah.
how are you dealing with the punishes, and how are you dealing with not getting grabbed and not getting hit? So we'll focus on that. Okay. So sheik gets a grab, putting some space between you. That's good. Dash attack not as strong, but good up tilts.
Yeah, too many dash attacks.
Yeah. Dash attack will lose to sheik very bad because she'll just crouch cancel grab it, you know.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you usually want to use down tilt a lot against sheik, but I know we didn't talk about that too much. Okay. So yeah, these up Bs for sure. You gotta just land. You never want to do that, right? Do you know why?
Just fall lower and then up B, so I'm not above her.
So basically, you're landing on stage here. Like even this recovery here that you did. I'm gonna put it back a little bit more. Even this recovery here, right? Instantly double jump, right? Grab the ledge.
Yeah.
It's fine, but you grab the ledge, right? You got away with it.
Yeah.
But then when you're back on stage, right? Sheik puts you back, instant double jump again, but this time she's grabbing the ledge, right? So
Yeah.
now what this means is now you're off stage without a jump, and she has the potential to edge guard you. But here, after you do the side B, you up B instantly and put yourself on stage where she should have grabbed you. She did F tilt and kind of gave you a freebie. But she had enough time to grab you because you have so much lag when you land on the ground from up being, right?
Right.
So what you can be doing instead, if it's gonna load. First of all, don't ever do the side B. I think we talked about a no-fly zone in our first session, a little bit, but yeah, you never want to be doing this. And like I said, similar to Falco, you always want to be recovering low with Marth.
Okay.
Same
Just
situation.
drift back, fall down low, and then come up.
Yep. You'll find that sometimes sheik is maybe able to hit you with like a backer when you go low, or like she'll just re-grab the ledge and grab it. But like you're at 92%. If you land on top and do this up B, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to land on stage and she's going to grab you and kill you or throw you back off stage again and repeat the process. At least when you go down low, you're giving a mix up for her as like, what if you use your side B to stall and like wait till she's not invincible anymore and then hit her out of her invincibility, right? Or like, what if she tries to roll above the ledge to cover your up B, but then you delay it a little bit and then you're able to land on stage, right? Or what if she tries to go down low and hit you and then you up B her before she's able to hit you, right?
I see.
There's mix-ups basically is what I'm trying to say. What happens when you recover low down here versus like recovering here and trying to hit her directly at the ledge, right? It's very bad to try and hit people at the ledge with Marth because all they have to do, they're invincible, right? They can just hit you or let you land on stage and then hit you then. So yeah, anyway, all that to say, recover low near the ledge, right? But then especially up here, right? You tried up being out of that. I would try double jumping if you're going to get out of there. But then even here, you up B up here.
I think that might have been a misinput. That was not
Okay.
intentional. Yeah.
Because yeah, like this
Obviously
one,
not a good idea.
yeah, you don't want to be landing in free fall. You'd rather at least just fall regularly because you can swing your sword or mix up a landing on a platform or yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Because yeah, that to me, like that's like a panic thing, you know? Because what it looks like when you're doing here, you're up being high. Get me on stage. Here. Even here, you can hear it. I know you don't have audio because I'm doing share screen. But if I go frame by frame here, you can see you starting it up. See? That's the startup from Marth up B. Then you get hit out of it, right? And then even up here, up B again because you think she's going to come and hit you, right? So try not to get flustered about it. You definitely need to be just sticking to your game plan, right? You don't want to be above sheik. You want to be below her. So same thing with recovering. Be below her when you're using your up B.
Yep.
So yeah, getting her above you, using up tilt, very good. Personally, I think you could have killed her here. Once you get this up tilt, she has two options, right? Kind of like we talked about here, right? Where is it, the line? I know I wrote this down because it makes juggling very simple. She's really bad horizontal drift, which makes it easy to stay underneath her, which you did well by using the up tilt, right? So up tilt, you're right underneath her. Then she starts drifting to the side. So you can stay underneath her easily where she can't contest it. So she's forced to either trade. So I think she tried to nair. I could be mistaken here. Let me go back and look. Yeah, so she's forced to either trade. She tries forward air here, which if I were her, I would have tried to nair or down air because obviously you're not right in front of her. But she tries to trade or, right, that didn't work. So she gets up tilted. So now she starts drifting away, right? Now she's all the way over here. She gets hit over there, but the point being, she DI'd over there too. So now you're at a point, where's the line? Sorry. Okay, now once she starts drifting away, that move loses to F smash. You can easily F smash Sheik here, right? She's landing here. It loses to grab. If she tries to back air you, you can dash back grab. Or it loses to just like F tilt. F tilt like will work here, but I'd rather just F smash and kill her outright, you know? At that point, then you start an edge guard against her and you kill her, right? So that's what I'm trying to say about Sheik. You stay directly underneath her, then she has to go off to the side here.
Yep.
You can easily just hit her off now, right? The only thing she could do, and like why I wrote F tilt here, is she can double jump. So like if she double jumps above the F smash, if she has a jump, that's a mix up kind of. Whether or not she's gonna jump or try and back air you, right? If you're not sure, that's why you can grab. But if she doesn't have a jump here, you just F smash here and she's 1000% dead, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's your punish game strength. And then for neutral strength, like you have this of things to avoid. But yeah. So that's what you're looking for when you're hitting Sheik, right? You hit her above, push her off to the side, and then hit her off again. So same thing here. Up tilt, fantastic. She lands on a platform, you push her off to the side. Here, she has a jump, and like you can't easily grab the ledge and do it. So unfortunately, this is just kind of a spot where it's a little awkward. You could maybe throw a down tilt here to like catch her double jumping bad, but she's just gonna grab the ledge. But either way, she's in the corner. You have all the stage control, right? So it's still really good for you to do that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, now you have center stage, and now you're just playing again, right? Same thing here. Up tilt, forward smash is good. You could have down tilted there after this, right? See that?
It's the forward smash and then down tilt now.
Yep, right after. And look, because she's double jumping, instead of dashing back, you could have killed her. But yeah, it's fine. If that was a forward smash too, that could have killed. But yeah. Okay. Forward smash. Okay, she dies, whatever. A little scary for her, but yeah. So keeping some space between you, that's good.
Yeah, spacing was definitely something I was thinking about.
Yeah, no, it shows for sure. Because a lot of people will just try and run in and like try and box Sheik, like literally punch her, but like that doesn't work, right? You got to play with space with Marth.
Yeah.
So that's good. Awkward double jump here, I would not recommend. Similar to what we talked about before, double jumping instantly at a hit stun.
Yeah.
Have we talked about the no-fly zone?
I don't think I recall you ever mentioning a no-fly zone.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about this really quick as like a final note.
Sure.
Or, this is like not a good screenshot. I'm gonna redo this one. But basically, in Melee, especially at low level, I'm pretty sure I might have mentioned this in passing in the last lesson about double jumping at a hit stun. But basically, this massive range right here in Melee is what I call the no-fly zone, which basically means if you double jump or try and like land on stage within this range when your opponent is close to the ledge, you are just going to die. Like you can see this forward air is covering in this no-fly zone. You are not getting past this forward air, right? I should have screenshotted that, so my bad for that. I can redo it for you and send it to you.
That's fine. That makes sense. That's fine.
But this massive circle kind of right here, you never ever want to be double jumping or side B'ing. I saw you do a side B here with Mark.
Yeah.
Double jump or side B here, never. You want to either try and land on the stage with an aerial like you're doing forward air, but she's ready for it, so obviously not that, or go low and up B, right? So here, you get lucky here, and she missed times for forward air, so you get to forward air. But almost never do you want to do that double jump, full drift in, and forward air, right? You want to and basically like the double jump, right? You want to always go to the ledge or land just above it with the stage, but when that double jump is extremely risky. So you got really lucky there. But yeah, the no fly zone is massive. That goes hand in hand with what we talked about in our first lesson about the double jump out of hit stun habit.
Yep.
Similar concept. So
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, good spacing here. Get a grab, up tilt. Down tilt's a little slow there, just like you're slow on it, but good idea regardless. Like you're still trying to hit her off here, right? So up tilt, forward air. Little bad. I think.
Yeah, I think I foxtrotted too far, and so then I got like the slow turnaround. I was trying to just back out and go back in.
What you could get comfortable with instead of even doing the foxtrot is just dash dancing here, right? You could dash dance and react to which way she's gonna get up and just grab her.
Right.
But yeah, either way. So yeah. Fishing for a grab quite a bit on stage. But yeah, good. There you go. Look, finally hit it. Double jump, right? She's coming back on. Boom, she's off. So same thing, exact same situation when you hit her with an up tilt here and she has to come over. Exact same thing.
I should take ledge, right? Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
and you do. Awesome. And that's a kill. Easy.
Cool.
So yeah, I know game plans can sound very complicated, right? But like you can see it happening right here, right? So that's why we talk about them. So like I said, start out from here, but then you build upon it, right? And now we can reference back to these notes. So very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing tomorrow, or sorry, next week. We're gonna be talking about Falco. So I definitely recommend try play Falco, and we'll talk about the essentials, right? And maybe build a game plan off it if you want.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely get some games in and get some replays too.
Yeah. So, like I said a couple of seconds ago, I'm gonna finish this VOD if it's okay with you. I know we're a little bit over, but if you have the time, I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, please. It's
Okay.
really helpful.
Sure. So, I think I said a couple of seconds ago before I started rambling about why game plans are good, but you're fishing for grab a lot, right? One thing that's really good about beating Sheik is, like I said here, like why she's strong, right? So you have to be careful around Sheik's attack. They can kill you, and she has so much range, blah blah blah, right? So you have to be aware of her threat ranges, which is F tilt, up tilt, dash attack, crouch cancel, right? And grab, of course, but grab is just like an up close thing. But what are you trying to be here when you're going for these grabs? Because I noticed that when you're dash dancing around her, right, at these good ranges, you're constantly trying to grab her, right?
Yeah.
There's one specifically earlier that I was like, you should definitely have just down tilted there. But maybe that's not here. Either way, this grab is fine. You get a grab. There's a couple spots where you're getting hit where you could just down tilt easily instead, right? And that kind of beats Sheik's threat ranges a little bit. Like down tilt with Marth will beat F tilt. It'll beat up tilt. Probably it can beat dash attack, but it's a very tight timing. So oftentimes, if I think they're gonna dash attack, I'll probably just shield because it's a lot just better to shield a dash attack. You directly punish it versus like I might beat it, but I could probably not, right? And in down tilt will be crouch cancel too. So when you're not sure,
down tilt's kind of tough for me because I feel like they're constantly jumping over the down tilt. They're coming in from the air,
and that's fine.
So
Down tilt is like similar concept to Falco laser, right? Where it's like it kind of sets pressure on Sheik, and it doesn't directly combo her. It doesn't kill her. It's not something she's really scared of, but it's something you can constantly be poking with her. Down tilt's a poke move, so you constantly are putting that pressure on Sheik with down tilt, and then she has to respond in a certain way, right? So the next time you get in that spacing with her and she thinks you're gonna down tilt, like you said, she's gonna start jumping over and try and hitting you. Well, that's way easier. Now you can just F smash her out of the air, right? Or forward air or nair and start using her aerials. But I kind of like to think of it as like a level 1 game plan of like, I'm going to down tilt Sheik and then she has to respond. And then now that she's responding, I move on to my level 2 plan of like, now I'm going to hit her in the air, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this game plan, like I said, is just the very, very basic one. It's like, this for sure is an objective truth. Like I can't say down tilt is amazing against Sheik because like you said, she can beat it, but it's good because it's a constant pressure for it. And she only really has one answer to beat down tilt, which is jump over it. So it's still really good. I just don't want to like start you off by saying down tilt sheik all the time because, like you said, she's counterplay.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you should be using down tilt instead of only grabbing in that spot because yeah, like down tilt will still hit her and poke her just the same. And the goal of down tilt is to put pressure on her and hit her, but then get her to start doing things that are worse for her. Like sheik's really good on the ground, but if you're forcing her in the air, now she's a lot worse and you're better, you know? So
Right.
that kind of concept is very important. But yeah, down tilt's really, really strong against sheik.
Gotcha. And are you referring to like typically like dashing it or like a wave dash in into a down tilt, or like running in and then down, or crouch canceling down tilt, or like a defensive down tilt?
So I think down tilt can be used. It's such a great move because it can be used in so many different spots. The unfortunate problem with down tilt is that it's best at tipper only and not really like the low hit, the low or the inwards hit. The weak hit is fine, but it gets crouch canceled by sheik for sheiks that crouch cancel a lot, or like down smash, it'll lose the down smash kind of thing. So it's just not really that great as much as the tipper one. And that's kind of the point of it, right? Like I said, it's a poke, and down tilt hits from so far away, and the tipper hitbox, this is the strongest one. So, and like already you want to be as far away from sheik as possible. Not as possible, sorry. Like you want to be staying within that range we talked about here, kind of.
Yeah.
And down tilt's just like perfect for that, right? So as far as like how to use down tilt, like you said, like running down tilt, wave dash down tilt, like whatever. I personally prefer, what I will do often is a stand in place down tilt. So like, let's say I'm dash dancing. I don't think I can pull it up here because it's not a melee one. But if you ever see me playing at sheik, like I will do like dash dance and then I'll like wave dash down tilt, right? And just like from that whole movement that I'm threatening with wave dash, like I could be doing an aerial during that, or sorry, that dash dance. I could be doing an aerial during that. I could run up and grab you, whatever. But then I stop all of a sudden, and now there's a huge hitbox in front of me with down tilt that she can't run in on. She has to jump over it.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like I said, the weaker one is worse. So the more you push into sheik with a running down tilt or a wave dash, you're more likely to get the weak one. So you can do wave dash back down tilt, or you can do just standing in place. I like at the ledge, especially when she's in the corner and I don't know what to do to hit her. I really like wave dash back down tilt because it's still putting a big like sword right in front of her on the ground, and jumping in the corners for really bad for her because then she just gets F smashed off stage. But yeah, generally speaking, try not to approach with down tilt. Try and like stay grounded and neutral with it, or retreat with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, definitely try and use down tilt a lot more. I think that's fine, but yeah. Like here, great example. You bait out an aerial and whiff punish it, but this is just because she's not the best sheik to. She's just not one of a really good sheik, right? Technically, this grab would lose to forward air here if she got it right. She doesn't really. She missed her L cancel, but you saw like how many frames she was just standing still, right?
Yeah, right.
She could just jab right after this, and like jab leads into grab kind of thing, like.
Sure.
Like.
So here, I should have just
standing still
or dashed out, stood still, and then down poke.
Yeah.
Or down tilt.
Yeah, exactly. You can call it down poke too. It's pretty much what it is, right? Like, but yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the idea, right? Like she's standing still. She has a frame 2 jab, I think. So like 1, 2, you're hit, right? So
yeah,
it's really hard to know like when to use the best moves against sheik because she's just really annoying because all of her moves are so good and fast. But like when you play at this spacing and like you kind of know what the tools are, very much more manageable. So yeah, my recommendation, grab is good against sheik. It's not bad, but you can't spam it. But down tilt low key, you kind of can spam, right? Because look, now when you're down tilting here, perfect timing. You're spamming it, right? And she's not crouch canceling it, whatever. But it'll combo, right? Another down tilt. And then now she has to come above you. And if you were like ready for it, kind of thing.
If I didn't fat finger my full hop instead of my short hop here.
Yeah, well, either way, right? Like, you could meet her in the air entirely, like you said, and maybe if you fat finger it, whatever, forward air here. But also, what if instead you were just like waiting with down tilt here, right? Down tilt, down tilt.
Yeah.
She's gonna jump in on me. I'm just gonna F smash her out of the air, right?
Yeah, right.
F smash beats all of sheik's aerials because it's a massive disjointed hitbox.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the idea behind down tilt. It's basically to keep them off the ground, force them into shield, or for them to start jumping above you, which you have Marth's aerials and his F smash. Like, no character can beat that, right? So that's why down tilt's like really, really scary and annoying for people to deal with.
Yeah.
And for this matchup, based on our game plan here, it's really, really strong just because of the spacing it stays at.
Makes sense.
So yeah, definitely recommend doing that a little more. But yeah, I think if you focus more on your spacing and just using down tilt at that spacing, you'll find that it works really well, and they get scared by it. Because like again, they will start either jumping in the air. We talked a lot about jumping when they do it down tilt, but some people will just shield down tilt, right? Which means, oh, I'm not going to down tilt now. I'll just grab your shield, which then you get a free grab on Sheik.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So there's really only
you can cancel the down tilt into like a dash grab.
Yeah, or like because down tilt's a poke, right? You don't have to cancel it necessarily. You could, but the idea of down tilt is it doesn't send them far away enough for when they get hit by down tilt, they're like flying. It only pokes them away enough so that you could technically do another down tilt after you do the one that you already hit, right? So like how they respond to, oh, they might do another down tilt is just by shielding. So instead of doing a second down tilt, now you can just grab them, right?
I see.
It's a huge pressure tool. It's a poke. It's not really like I did down tilt, so now I get to do this. It's a conditioning move. You're conditioning them to either jump or shield by using down tilt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then you have answers for that also. So that's the idea, basically. Okay, good F smash. So yeah, with that in mind, let's talk about spacing. Tough time getting off the platform. That's fine. Bad double jump, right? We know about that already. So we can talk about that. We've got that.
Yeah.
So you get a dash attack. Okay, good spacing and staying with that range. Missing a lot of grabs. Fishing for grab a lot, right? You could be down tilting instead. That's fine.
Yep.
So grab, up tilt, underneath her. Here, technically, just as a point, but once you hit an up tilt at this percent-ish, 28 is when if I get a grab on Sheik, you can literally just do up throw up tilt at this percent. So up tilt here, you can forward air this technically if you're fast. I get that you weren't, but you still do the right thing, right? Cover her landing, right? She gets on a platform, so I would probably just nair here to kind of poke at her feet, but whatever. But yeah, honestly fine. It's just the punish was a little off. Dropped your punish, basically.
Yep.
Okay, let's see how you play your invincibility. Get down. Yep. Okay, so forward air, miss, forward air, up throw, up air. Yep, good job. Back air. Okay, and good thing here you didn't run too far because right, she's clearly gonna grab the ledge beforehand.
Right.
But you can still put a little bit of pressure, right? Like, and by pressure I mean just like standing here ish, scaring her.
Right.
But you're fine. Like you're good. And then here she gets up, you F smash her, grab the ledge, or she dies anyway. But yeah. So, but you can see, right? Like how from what we talked about before, it builds a lot about like every matchup. So a couple more notes we talked about, like the importance of down tilt and the no fly zone. I definitely recommend focusing hard on the no fly zone for every matchup. Just to beat that habit out of you, because it's more of a habit than anything, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it applies to every matchup. But you have some specific notes against Falco now, so we will talk about how to beat Falco. I'll just give you my notes, just you can modify them however you like. But I 1000%. Oh shoot, I was gonna edit that. Well, I'll just type it here. Melee library. I 1000% recommend playing a Falco this week, practicing your chain grab when you have time for solo practice, and getting this as best as possible. And we'll build upon that next week. If you want, we could talk more about the Sheik matchup as well, because like I said, Fox and Falco are a lot more like, it's with Fox and Falco, it's like you're learning to be one option, but with the other characters, with Marth especially, it's like you kind of can get a more overall consensus of a game plan kind of thing.
Right.
But I'm happy to talk about Falco too, because I know if that's the character you want to beat, we'll mess him up for you. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Any last questions before we end things here?
No, that covers it.
Okay,
Appreciate
cool.
you, man.
That's no worries. Yeah, we'll talk next week hopefully, or if you want a later time, that's fine because I know we talked about a lot today. But yeah, talk soon and good luck.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. See you.
Have a good one. Bye.